We're back out here once again, and today we're talking about how when you see bass busting on bait during the fall, topwater lures may be the very last thing you want to have tied on. Sound surprising? Well, stick around and I'll explain.
There we go. Oh wow, that's a big fish, kids. That's a nice one. That's a good fish right there. That may be the best of the day. Come on, you. Oh, where you going, buddy?
And here's this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Now, before we get started, I'd like to invite everyone to head on over to my jig store over at diamondbackbaits.myshopify.com. We've got a bunch of jigs that are handmade by yours truly. We've done everything we can to keep the prices as low as possible. I think you're really going to like them. And thank you so much to everyone who's already purchased your jigs. Your support means the world to me. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. And one of the best things about fishing during the fall is the fall feed. That's when those bass gorge themselves on bait fish. And a lot of times you head out to the water and you see those bass busting on those bait balls everywhere you look. And you think to yourself, topwater, baby. And I do the same thing. It's so hard to resist, isn't it? Topwater is such an amazing bite. But sometimes those bass aren't busting the surface. If you look at those bait balls, if you look at what you're seeing, are you seeing bass busting the surface, or are you just seeing the ripples from those clouds of bait? And it's important to make that distinction, because the other day I went out to the big lake and I was seeing that everywhere I looked. I saw enormous balls of shad just balled up, ready to be munched on by those hungry bass. And what's the first thing that I did? Well, obviously, I got to tie on a walking bait, right? Like this Yozuri. I tied this on and I was thinking to myself, it's going to be an amazing day. I'm going to catch so many fish on topwater, I'm not going to try anything else. But it didn't work out that way. I spent 15, 20 minutes working that bait, which is usually longer than I normally do it. I normally just do 5, 10 minutes and I will change something out in an area if it's not working. But because it's topwater, I forced it a little bit. Nothing happened. So I switched out to this. Good old boy howdy. And you guys know how much I love these things. Just a prop bait, you know, like a devil's horse or a spin rocket or anything like that. But they work so well. Not even a sniff. I couldn't get anything on topwater. I even did this. Little head and torpedo, right? I mean, I tried so many different types of topwater trying to get those bass to commit. I was locked into that. I was laser focused on topwater, 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 because I wanted those bass to play along. I saw those balls everywhere. Those bait balls were everywhere. And I just knew that if I could find the right topwater, those bass were just going to crush it. But that was not the case. I finally had to throw in the towel on topwater and say, you know what? Those bass are not breaking the surface. They're coming close, but they're hitting the balls of bait and then diving back down. And that's how they're feeding. And they're doing it from multiple angles, because in that clear water, I could see them. I could see bass and I could see what they were doing, which only added to the frustration. So what did I do? Well, I said, you know what? If they're not coming up to the surface, I'm going to have to go down to them just a little bit and see what they're feeding on. So I had to tie on the little KVD chrome jerkbait, right? I had to tie this thing on. You guys have seen me use this 1,000 times on this channel, and it was not long. As a matter of fact, it was the very first cast when I caught a fish with this thing, a nice fat little bass. And in the video, you can hear my frustration because I really wanted topwater to be a thing, and it just wasn't.
So this is irritating. This is irritating. I got fish busting everywhere and I can't even get a sniff. There we go. There we go. Not a bad one, kids. That's a good one. First cast. Come on, you're not getting away. He's trying to go at me. That's a good fish. That's a good fish right there, kids. Come here. That's a nice bass right there. All right. Had him pretty good. He went after it pretty good. All right, well, that's one. I knew they're chasing bait. Let go with the thing. All right, I knew they were chasing bait. Let's see if I can get you unhooked. I'm probably going to have to get the pliers. Yeah, I'm going to have to get the pliers. Let me get you down for a second. All right. 1.5 pound bass. Way to start. On the jerkbait. Nice, nice, nice. Nice fish. Yep, there he goes. Let's go get some more.
So we got jerkbait bites. We knew those bass were going to hit that jerkbait. I wanted topwater, but you have to play by the bass's rules. It just wasn't going to be. However, it was still an amazing day. Just because the bass weren't hitting topwater doesn't mean that they weren't biting. And once I changed my technique, once I changed the presentation to several things to see what all those bass were going to crush. And one of the other things that I threw was this swim bait. And man, those bass were hitting these lures so hard. They were choking it every single time. I was always having to grab my pliers just to work that bait right out of the fish's mouth. And well, you can see here in this video, that's exactly what happened when I threw this.
Trying to get a little bit of sprinkle here. Ooh, there we go. That was a good hit. Boy, he hit the snot out of it. Come here, dude. Boy, he hit that thing. Look at how he got it. Not a huge fish, but boy, he hit it. How are you cooked? Right in the top of the stinking mouth. Huh. I may have to put my raincoat on while I'm doing this. Ooh, I got him right in his eyeball. Right in the back side of that eyeball. Look how it's poked out. That's gotta suck. Let me take my glasses off. Let me see what I have here. There we are. Alright. I got him free. Nice bass. About what we've been catching all day. About a little over a pound. Nice little bass. Beautiful little fish. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you, buddy. Oop, and there he went. Let's go catch some more.
So little swim baits, jerk baits, they were crushing those things. And just like today, we had a good bit of overcast. So I was able to use something that had a little bit more flash, something like this chrome bait. You know, we didn't have a lot of wind. There wasn't a lot of wind blowing across. It was maybe 5 miles an hour. So it had been dying down compared to what it had been recently. You know, we've talked about having winds of 20, 25 miles an hour and having to fish with that. But the wind had died down, but we were still very much overcast and very, very warm. I'm talking upper 80s, lower 90s. So even though it doesn't look like it's that warm, it's swelteringly hot. And the last thing that I wanted to try, there was a bait, the last thing that I wanted to try just to see what all those bass were going to go after, just to see if I could get them to commit to something else. And, well, I didn't have a spy bait with me anymore because the last Lucky Craft screw pointer that I had, well, it went for a permanent swim when it got lodged on a log. I've got some more, but that was the last really good spy bait that I had, and I lost it. All I had left were, well, this Lunker Hunt spy bait, and I don't like this thing. I'm not the biggest fan of anything Lunker Hunt makes. I think they're just a gimmick company, but You know, it's the closest thing that I had to a spy bait. It looks like a spy bait, but it's too light and it blows out real easily. You basically have to reel this thing just as slow as you possibly can. Otherwise, it's just going to rise right up and it's going to blow out, go sideways, and it's not going to have any action to it. So what I do? I put a split shot on the front hook, a pretty good sized one. I think that's a 16th ounce. It might be a 32nd ounce split shot, but like I do the cat turd jerkbait, like you guys have seen me do before. And no, that does not hurt the hookup ratio. I've been doing this for decades. It's what I learned to do when I was a kid. It's what the old timers taught me to do before we had suspend strips, before we had any of that fancy stuff or thinking about putting bigger hooks or all that. We just put a split shot on the front of it and away we went. And surprisingly, not only did a bass go after this, but when I missed the hook set, it came back and smashed it, and it turned out to be a really nice bass.
Ooh, I just got knocked. I got him. He came up after it. That's a good one. I'll be. Come on, stay with me. Stay with me, George. I'll be. I got him by the back hook. Get in here. Get in here. Ooh, that's a really good fish. On that Lunker Hunt spy bait. Best fish of the day. 2 pounds. A little bit north of 2 pounds. Great fish. Awesome fish. On the Lunker Hunt spy bait. The wife is going to be very, very happy. She is on a spy bait kick lately. We both have been really. Alright, well I know where they are. Nice 2 pound bass. Gorgeous, gorgeous fish. Thank you so much. Awesome fish. And you have yourself a wonderful day. There he goes. All right, let's go catch a bunch more.
So once I adjusted what I was doing, once I went from the mindset of topwater, 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 I can make those bass hit topwater and go into more what they wanted to bite. Jerk baits, swim baits, spy baits. I had a phenomenal day, and I wasn't catching dinks either. A lot of these fish that I were catching, they had really big bellies. You know, you had some that would have been like a 3/4 pounder or 1 pound bass, but they were much heavier than that because of how fat their bellies were. And they were a lot of fun to catch because they were energized, they were active, and a lot of times they were fighting really hard. But the last thing I did was when that sun came out, well, I put the old white Yozuri jerkbait on here. And obviously you guys know by now that I fish a jerkbait on a spinning rod. If you like fishing them on a bait caster, then that's fine, do that. But I like fishing it on a lighter setup because that's what works for me with just the 10 pound braid on a 7-foot medium spinning rod. It works great for me. But this guy right here, if you notice, I've taken the front hook off of it. And the reason why I did that is because a lot of times when I'm fishing a jerkbait, one of the most frustrating things about fishing a jerkbait is they constantly get boogered up. That front hook gets caught over the bill, gets caught in the string, and you have to fiddle with it. And it does it when it's out in the water, right? So you don't have any means of fixing it. You got to reel it all the way back in. It's a wasted cast. I took the front hook off of it. And that's what I did. I was like, you know what? I'm just done with that. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it messing up. I don't really need the front hook that much. I've got 2 other hooks, and let's see if I'm going to miss any fish. And you know what? After I did that, even after I did that, I was still catching fish on that white jerkbait.
There we go. Oh wow, that's a big fish, kids. That's a nice one. That's a good fish right there. That may be the best of the day. Come on, you. Oh, where you going, buddy? Whoa, nope, you're not getting away. Get up here. That's a really good fish. Come here, twist around for the folks at home. Another pound and a half. Another nice pound and a half bass. Can get it out of your eyeball. What is with you guys wanting to get yourselves hooked in the eyeball? Do you have some kind of eyeball death wish or something? Where'd I do my... There I did my pliers. And there's my pliers. Alright. Always got to have your pliers handy. Boy, I had him good. He was going nowhere. There we go. Another one on the jerkbait, kids.
So it turned out to be an all-day thing. It was one of those days I didn't want to come off of the water because I felt like I was leaving fish on the table. But at the same time, it makes me excited to head back out to the water because I know I have some things up my sleeve, some things that I can use, a variety of techniques and presentations to catch those bass. And it worked out so well. So once I made the choice, once I understood those bass were not going to hit topwater no matter how much I wanted them to, and I started switching to things just below the surface, 3-4 feet at the most, that's when I started catching tons of bass and some really nice bass too. So there you have it. Once I got my head right, once I realized what those bass were actually after and I made the adjustment, I had a wonderful day. So that's what we need to remember as anglers. Don't dig your heels in, follow what the bass want, and at the end of the day, you'll end up catching so many more fish. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.